So as you guys heard the end of Boomer and Geo, you know that Brady's officially retired. And Tiki and I have spent the last 10 minutes, pouring through every word of the 17 paragraphs he posted on his Instagram account. And what is amazing here, Tiki, right? You've got the Bucks teammates references, the Bruce Arians reference, the Bucks fans, the city of Tampa, the Glazer family, every Bucks staffer got a shout out. Alex Guerrero, his agents, Don Yee, and the other guy, his parents, his entire family, Giselle, the kids, even Twitter handles of his companies. You know what you didn't get? Not a single Patriot reference, not a reference to Kraft, no mention of Belichick, and even worse, even if Brady wanted to stick it to the Pats a little bit, how about a little something for the Patriot fans?
Yeah, man.
Nothing.
I wonder if this is just part one of a retirement tour he's going to go on because, when you're retiring in the moment, you're not thinking about the totality of your career. And I would assume that Tom Brady is going to have some sort of press conference where he's going to take questions and all these things about his career. People want to ask, and it'll be extensive. And he'll get asked about the Patriots, and he'll wax poetic about his time there and the opportunities and the championships and yada, 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 his relationship with Robert Kraft and also with Bill Belichick. So you got to assume that that's going to happen. It's just really surprising that after all that happened over this past weekend, where we heard from Adam Schefter on Saturday before the championship games this past weekend, that Tom Brady was going to retire, probably leaked prematurely, probably not actually confirmed, just speculating because of some things that were floating around Tom Brady. And Tom wanted to control the narrative. So he said, no, I'm not retiring. I'm still thinking about that. And so he thought about it. It's not like he did this impromptu. Just one day woke up and said, you know what? It's over. I'm gonna write this down, and he thought about this at least for 3 days.
Oh, there's no doubt that it was excluded for purpose by design. He is a master manipulator. And let's face it, the Tom Brady who showed up in Tampa the last couple of years is the kind of guy you want to hang out with.
That's right.
That's the guy we like. We always knew that deep down he was cool. It's bad enough he's got to beat our brains for basically 18 years, whatever it was, against the Jets. But another thing where he was so robotic in doing so, he wasn't even human. I love the humanization of Tom Brady, throwing F-bombs and getting a little worked up and having fun and having a little some troll jobs on social media. But to me, listen, this is, please, nobody misconstrue this, because he is an icon and I am a complete nobody. I understand that. But that would be like you and I doing this show here for, say, 15, 20 years at the Fan. And when we retire, I write something about man versus bear. Be like, dude, what? You did a show for 5 weeks on Discovery Channel that bombed. Now, I know he won a championship with the Bucks. So it's not the best analogy, but you really do overlook the most important aspect of your life.
I know.
By design, but still.
It's current.
If I'm a Patriots fan, I am pissed. I'm pissed if I'm a Pats fan.
I think
because what's coming is not going to satisfy. This was he officially retired.
Yes.
No matter what comes next,
but he was a Buck.
Secondary.
But he was a Buck.
But he was a football player, and his journey was 93% of the time in New England.
Yeah.
As a fan, that would, especially as a fan who invested so much emotion and money in the guy.
Well, first of all, it's impossible to get inside Tom Brady's head right now and speculate about what he was thinking when he wrote this. The only thing I can guess is that because his last immediate contact with football was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last season, he won a Super Bowl in just dramatic fashion, and, leaving New England. And I'm not certain what free agency is going to bring. It's a little bit scary. Remember that statement that he made of January of 2020? I don't know what's going to happen. Can't predict it. He knew that he was going to Tampa, but whatever. He said what he needed to say. He goes down to Tampa Bay, wins a Super Bowl for them, and then probably is going to win the MVP this year, given that he led the league in passes completed, passes attempt.
I think Rodgers wins.
Passing yards, Tom Brady led the league in passes completed, passes attempted, passing yards, passing TDs, passing yards per game. TDs, pass completed per game. He led the league in almost every
Spoiler: the guy's still pretty good.
Yeah, he is pretty good. And so, I mean, he maybe Aaron Rodgers does win the MVP, but Tom Brady has an argument for the MVP. They were 5,300 yards in year 44.
That's insane.
It's just ridiculous.
It's insanity.
So, like, his immediacy is Tampa Bay. And so, in a sense, I can forgive him. But the reason I can't, when I think about this, is that he thought about this, not just today. He didn't wake up this morning and say, I'm retiring. He had to figure out how to manage this from Saturday when Adam Schefter leaked it, and to not mention the New England Patriots at all. It's a little bit eye-opening.
It definitely is. You know, I said this to you a long time ago, and I think it really applies today. You know, even if they just make your life miserable, as Tom Brady made our life miserable, I'm not Giants fans, but Jet fans, right? There's something calming, there's something reassuring about having somebody that burst on the scene during a relatively youthful point in your life.
Yeah.
And what I always go back to is, you know, if you still have a grandparent that's living, if you're still fortunate enough to have that, and I don't, unfortunately. You know, my last grandparent passed away in the mid-2000s, my maternal grandmother on the Italian side, rest in peace. But when you still have a grandparent, right, and even though at that point I was in my earliest 30s, you say to yourself, well, you know, how old could I really be getting if grandma's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you almost say in an odd way, I don't even know if you verbalize this, but it almost slows down our aging process in our own minds if we're still watching a Brady or a Jeter or even somebody like, this will sound crazy, like Hulk Hogan going to the ring or Ric Flair trotting out there one more time. And, you know, that's why when these icons, when these long-standing titans of industry decide to step away, you know, again, trust me, we're in our 40s, we're anything but young. But the last remaining little, you know, thread of our youth is just pulled even tighter.
Yeah.
And that's how I process a lot of this. Hey, you know, Jeter's still playing. How can I be that old? Jeter's still playing. I remember his first game with Rizzuto on the call when he went deep in Cleveland, made that over-the-shoulder catch. Number 2 still playing. I'm not old.
Yeah.
Now you're getting old.
Yeah, you are getting a little bit old. I mean, Tom Brady he's legendary, obviously, and everybody has their feelings about him, even if it's negative because you're an opponent, a Jets fan or a Dolphins fan or even a Bills fan until recently. You just hated Tom Brady. Even though you respected him, you hated him. So Tom Brady, back when I was playing, because, I mean, it's crazy. I've been retired for 15 years, BT, and he was playing when I was playing. And the one story I remember.
He's better now.
He is. He's significantly better now. But he was always just this different guy. And he had different rules that applied to him, and probably it's because of the success and how he carried himself and his diligence. But I remember in 2006 in the preseason, we played the New England Patriots up in New England, and you know I'm almost 30 years old, and you know I know that I'm getting to the end. I'm like, I'm not gonna play in this preseason game, But I had to dress for the game. Like, I had to be there and I had to dress for the game. We get to New England, and I'm like, I wonder if Tom's playing today. And Tom's not playing today. He wasn't. And I was like, where is Tom?
What week was it?
This was the last week of the
so it was week 4. Nobody's playing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, I'm not playing, but I'm there and I have to dress.
Yep.
And Tom Brady is not there. I'm like, where the hell is Tom Brady? We're in New England, and the Patriots. Where's Tom Brady? He was in New York, like hanging out. That's how he got treated.
Was that when he was filmed with the Yankee hat?
Maybe.
Remember? I mean, he was wearing it more than once, obviously. But
he
had the brownstone wherever he was.
He had such pull. He was so different than everybody else. Even then, this is back in 2006.
I can't believe Belichick let him get. So wait, so the Pats are on the field.
Yes.
And Brady's in New York City?
He was not on the field. He was in New York City.
Stunning to me.
I
don't remember that.
Me too.
That is stunning that Belichick let him get away with that.
Well, he just come off an MVP. I think that. Well, no, he won the MVP the following year in 2007. Yeah, he won the MVP the following year. But I just remember saying, this dude is different. He didn't have to be here for preseason games, and I do. And so it was that's when I started realizing Tom Brady's just a different dude. And he's got a different, I don't know, I don't know, success quotient.
He
about
does
him.
because he processes things differently. You think about some of the greatest, sporting icons of all time.
Yeah.
And we'll keep it, at least for this conversation, people that we've seen so we can actually weigh in intelligently rather than theorize and just extrapolate from video and from conversations. We both saw Muhammad Ali at the end, obviously, when he was diminished, but, Ali was lightning fast, okay? Jordan, jump out of the gym, lightning fast, strong. Kobe, same exact thing. Shaq, just a physical force, like Wilt. He was Wilt 2.0. Even DeGrom, throwing 100 miles per hour in the 8th inning on his 110th pitch. Those guys are physically Tiger Woods compressing a golf ball. Like, those guys are just touched differently from the sporting gods. Tom Brady was not.
Yeah.
His mind may have been touched differently, but he was slow.
Well,
he was without muscle. He was not naturally gifted. Maybe I'm seldom short. I get that because I know he was a good catcher, got drafted baseball. I know he had some athletic tools. But if you think about the greatest athletes of all time collectively from all the sports, LeBron, I think it's probably fair to say that he may have had the fewest pure, tangible athletic tools in the box.
Yeah, but
you with me on that?
I am. But when you think about the position that he played, especially as the game evolved, he actually was perfectly suited for what the NFL, became. A passing league, someone who can stand in the pocket comfortably and confidently without fear and deliver throws and not worry about all of the noise that's happening around you. It's a processing ability. So it's not necessarily the athletic skill that matters, even though obviously it does matter in the NFL, especially as it becomes more, you see more of these athletic quarterbacks. But for the Tom Brady 2 decades of play, he was the perfectly built quarterback. He was tall, obviously extraordinarily intelligent, has a great football IQ, great leader, like everything that all the intangibles, not the physical skills that obviously you were alluding to, but all the intangibles, he had them in spades. And that's what made him so good. And it makes you appreciate, how long he was able to do it.
It's amazing.
And when we look at quarterbacks, we don't compare the current guys to him because they have different skill sets, but it's almost like you want them to become how Tom Brady was in the pocket with his poise, with his composure, with his leadership, like all those things.
Stay healthy outside of the 1 year.
It's right. Like all those things that, are not on paper or they show up on, the radar gun or whatever it may be.
You can't quantify it.
You can't quantify what made him great, but you just know he was great.
Well, Jeter was the same way, too. I mean, in a lot of ways. Now, Derek could run, but... Derek was never the best player in baseball, in my opinion, with all due respect to number 2. Derek was never even close to being one of the best players in baseball. He was always a great winner and clutch, but I look at Brady more Jeter than I look at, like, say, Brady Griffey Jr. or Willie Mays or Michael Jordan. Too, I'm just throwing some names out. Like, Elway was fast, and he had a rocket. Marino, rocket. Rodgers, both fast and a good arm. Favre, rocket. Mahomes, rocket, and quicker. Like Peyton couldn't run, but even Peyton coming out of Tennessee was the first overall pick at thought to be, and it proved to be true, a transcendent talent. Same with Andrew Luck, whereas Brady barely got drafted. And I told you the story years ago. This is hysterical. When I'm in San Francisco, Tom Brady's dad is in the green room. Thank you, Huff. How you doing today, Huff? You good?
Yeah. Commissioner Goodell.
Oh, wait, hold on. I don't really care what Goodell says.
Yeah, but I'd say
who cares? What? You go ahead, read it.
I mean,
what is he going to say?
No, I just
bring up the flake.
Tom Brady will be
say?
remembered as one of the greatest to ever play in the NFL. It's like they had this on hand.
Of course they did.
Just
when somebody dies, they've got the montage. You know how they do that at networks, right?
Yes.
Older people that have it ready.
It's already. But he does mention the New England Patriots. He inspired fans in New England, Tampa, and around the world with one of the greatest careers in NFL history.
So Goodell did his dirty work for him.
He did the dirty work for him.
So I meet, whatever. This means nothing. That's fine. So I meet Tom Brady's dad in the green room at Comcast in San Francisco. It's like their SNY.
Yep.
Tiki, I told you this a long time ago.
Yep.
I'm told it was dad, and of course I'm asking about Giselle like a moron. I'm like, what is it like to do you stare at? This was years ago. Do you stare at Giselle? I'm kidding. Do you stare at Giselle during Thanksgiving? It's like, nah, she's a great mom. He was really cool, deflecting. He's like, this guy's odd. But I'm sure he gets asked a lot about Giselle. Let's be honest. Anyway. We start talking, and I said, what? I don't know how I got to this point, but I said, what is it like to be Tom Brady's dad? And I know because they were getting ready to play in the Super Bowl. I know that sounds like a weird question, but he knew what I meant.
Yeah.
Because he was a very down-to-earth, personable guy. And you could tell that he realized that this level of accomplishment was 9,000 layers beyond what they thought. Anyway, long story short, he's like, listen, our goal on when the draft came around that year, our goal was to maybe be a backup for a year or two.
This is in 2000.
Yep, in 2000. This is what Tom Brady's dad told me. Make a couple of $100,000 and then go into finance. That's what their dream was. And that's pretty much what Tom was thinking.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, give me a second, hold the clipboard, maybe pack away $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 after taxes, call it a day, call it a career, jump into finance, play golf. And if you knew you'd be successful there as well, that's what the Brady family thought his football trajectory was.
Yeah, and
isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and then very quickly,
wow,
he's elevated to a success level because it was his second year, right? Second year that he ended up winning the Super Bowl. So second year, it happened like that.
Yeah,
and
it was a very, it was a benign performance in the Super Bowl. What was it, 17-14? I mean, forgot it was low scoring, right?
It was low scoring.
Did Terry hit the field goal?
Yeah, it came down to the end. It's like a lot of them against the Rams. 20-17.
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah.
So, and then each year the legend grew a little bit more, and his body changed a little bit, and his presence changed a little bit. I think they modified the offense for him, and then he became the best. Eddie's in Brooklyn on the Fan as we talk about Tom Brady a little bit. Eddie, how are you today? What's happening?
Good morning, man. I have a fact that when he went to New England and played them and beat them, he joined the club of Brett Favre, having beaten every team, all 32 teams.
Oh, that's right.
Right?
That's a good one. Yeah, I forgot about that stat.
Mm-hmm.
And the second point is, in his career, how many times did he take a salary cut? Instead of getting $7 million a year, he accepted $2 million, so the Patriots could, draft better and get free agents that were more expensive. He did that at least 6 times.
Yeah, no, Tom Brady was, when you talk about, appreciate you, Eddie, giving the
Thanks,
call.
Ed.
Tom Brady, I remember looking this up a couple years ago because I was wondering why he would have been disgruntled with how much money he was making. I'm like, this dude's been playing forever. Like, why is he worried about money? But when you go back and you look at his salaries, he never made more than $20 million, $25 million until he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is crazy to think about. Like, he was making $15 million, $13 million. This is like 2016, like $15 million. Like, he's making $10 million less than the average quarterbacks in the National Football League and never really broke the bank, even though he did break the bank because in total he made over $300 million. And Giselle. But still, he made $300 million, which I think is that the most?
I think Eli. Didn't Eli retire as the highest paid?
Yeah.
I thought Eli did, actually.
Maybe it was Eli, but whatever it was, he was never the highest paid.
Mm-hmm.
Never at the position.
Big picture.
Despite winning 3 MVPs and 7 Super Bowls, he's never been the highest paid player in the league, which is so anti what quarterbacks in the NFL do, right? So you talk about why he's special. That's one of the reasons. It wasn't important for him to be compensated as the best. He just wanted to be the best.
He wanted to be respected, too. And I think that he felt that respect eroded a bit at the end in New England. He wanted to have a little fun. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be himself, and he wanted to be appreciated on a different level, and it worked out for sure. So that's it. Brady's done. 877-337-6666. All right, a little later in the 1 o'clock hour, the Oak Man, Charles Oakley, is in studio. That'll be fun. He's got a new book out about being the last enforcer. That's the name of it. Also, next hour, so Tiki and I have done this once a week since we started to weave in some of the early midday voices, pay a little homage, have a little fun with some personalities from, back in the day. We had Joe Beningo week 1. We had Jody Mack as well. Russ Salzberg, the sweater, and he's still active doing his thing. So we'll talk to him and his time with the Schmooze, 93 to 2000. Dove you around for a lot of that, so we'll have some fun with Russ coming up next hour. But right now we're talking about Brady and how unlikely it is any of us, maybe our kids, but how unlikely it is that any of us will see this again. One of the great American sportsmen of all time, period. 877-337, forget about American, I mean worldwide. 877-337-6666.